Welcome back, everyone, to the Memory Jogger podcast on the Rediscover the 80s podcast network. You've got Jason here on this paper cup, and on the other end of the string, Wyatt is at the other paper cup there. How are you, Wyatt?
I'm pretty good, but that's quite the really rustic analogy. I guess Memory Jogger is about, especially in our era, we still did that. That was a cool thing until
Right.
we started actually, getting a little bit older and could chat for a few minutes. But in our case, during the summer, we chatted almost every day for an hour every day. Do you remember why?
I do. That was during the Price is Right game show.
That is right.
Yep. We would ring each other up and talk while the while Price is Right. We would guess the pricing, and then we'd play along with the contestants.
And I usually
Yeah, that
suck
was a
because I
summer of
would think
fun.
of what you see at the grocery store, not the manufacturer's suggested retail price.
Right. That was also the probably the place where I honed my skills of playing Mary Had a Little Lamb on the touchtone phone.
Quite right.
You
And
remember
then you discovered,
that?
yeah, I do. And then you discovered your redial, which made it faster.
Right, right, right. Yeah. Oh God, I missed touch. I missed touchtone. Anyway, well, we are ready. We've already jogged our memories a little bit here, but
Yeah.
we are ready once again to run down a few childhood dreams from the 80s and even the early 90s in our high school years. And we appreciate everyone subscribing and downloading the show. And we've taken a little bit of a break since our last show, but we are back. And I don't know if we're better than ever, but we're going to try to be better than ever as we get back into Memory Jogger. And well, Wyatt, we on the last show, if you'll remember way back when we were doing our first jobs, we had discussed doing our remembering our school field trips.
Yes, we've got quite a variety and a few that I've actually missed, probably because I was at work. Most of the reasons I didn't go to some of those, at least in junior, possibly senior high school, is probably because I worked. I figured making money was better than spending money at tickets. So, but we'll see where this adventure, we'll call it, goes.
Right, right. And I do have a special little treat, and I'm excited about this. This is like, remember back in the day, they had the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh
You know,
yes.
those commercials with that weird guy with the glasses that was, giving you a hard time. And call this number and get your Encyclopedia Britannica, and discover everything. Well, I have my own kind of volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica for us, which is our old yearbooks. I've got every yearbook except for 1989, from 1983, which I'm holding now,
Yeah.
up through our senior year, 1994. So, and there's plenty of good stuff in here too, not just for our field trips. So I'm hoping to use those as a resource and maybe
Resource or
some.
blackmail?
Well, could be could be blackmail depending on the pictures that I find in there, and I can scan and post. But yeah, so I'm excited about having those and using those for reference in upcoming shows. But I guess I was thinking about maybe doing a quick icebreaker that we usually do when we begin the show, but I was basically going to apologize just for us being away so long. And, I had a job change, and you've had some life changes, and it just kind of got away from us there for quite a while.
Yes, we last recorded sadly in October, which was when you were
Right.
here. And like Jason said, we've been, even though literally only around our areas, respective areas, we have felt like we've been around the world with different things. Like you said, your job change, you've had other things come up in your personal life. The same here. I'm getting ready to retire, so I've had to do the passing on the baton, so to speak, in my military role, and then looking for jobs, which is, I feel like it's a whole new adventure since the last time I really looked for a job was 23 years ago. Just saying. So yeah, it's adventurous, I'll call it. Maybe that's the key word today. We need to have a key word.
There you go.
That seems to
Hashtag
be it today.
adventurous.
There you go.
But yeah, so we appreciate everybody still subscribing and tuning in. And I'm in the process of moving our feed for Rediscover the 80s over to actually Wyatt's server. And I'm going to plug in some of our older podcasts as well. When we did a couple shows, the memories episodes is what we called it, on Knight Rider, on Back to the Future. And then the first two episodes of Rediscover the 80s was kind of like, if you remember the show VH1 I Love the 80s, where you picked a topic, and I interviewed, I think, 11 people in that first episode, and spliced it all together into an audio utopia. I was just actually listening. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and it was one of my my proudest things I've ever done, actually, audio wise. But I'm going to put those back in, and obviously the Memory Jogger podcast will be there up to episode 11 now. Technically, I think it's more like 15 or 16 with the special episodes we've done. So we've been going quite good with the Memory Jogger, and also throwing in there another show called Rank 'em, which we will be ranking different things from the 80s, movies, TV shows, stuff like that. I want to get that back up and rolling again. So we got plenty for you here in this feed that you are tuned into right now, and will be hopefully in the future. One other icebreaker note I just wanted to throw out there. Did you see the sad news today of one of my favorite or most frequented stores nationwide is closing?
Yes, and my wife is already frantically looking to see what we can snatch up at 50%.
Right.
But the sad part is, yes, that was kind of our go-to store. If you couldn't find it anywhere else, it seemed to be we could go to Toys R Us and find it. And I remember a trip. Do you remember this? Where it was back when we were in high school. I think we had just graduated. You and
Mm-hmm.
I decided to take a road trip out to Toys R Us, and the sole purpose, and mind you, we're from Clearfield, Central Podunk, Pennsylvania, right? And to go to the nearest city, aside from Du Bois, was about an hour each way. You went an hour to
Yeah.
State College or an hour to Altoona.
Right.
Well, Jason and I got the itch. I had somehow misplaced my original card set of Mileborn. If anyone of you followed this or looked at this game,
Yeah.
it was an awesome game where it was a car like driving game. It was a French based. It had the French language. It still even had it like subscript on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea was you have to have a green light to go. You could slam like a flat tire, but you could get a puncture proof tire. I mean, it was just an awesome game. So hadn't played it for years, had a craving to go play this thing. And on a whim, probably a scheduled whim, because we had to probably work out days off or school off. I think it was right after high school. But anyway, we're like, let's go find this. Let's see if we can go find it. Him and I had been touring around Clearfield at Walmart, Kmart when it was still there, at a couple places.
I miss Kmart too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't there. Like maybe Toys R Us would have it. Shoot out an hour drive. Lo and behold, it's there. We swooped that thing up, and I think we played a couple rounds or so, probably many rounds at that time. So to me, Toys R Us was always the go-to store. If you couldn't find it anywhere else, you could find it there, except now with Amazon and
Yeah.
Google. But back in the day, that was the place. And now I feel like part of us is departing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they're putting Jeffrey on the street. I mean, somebody's got to buy them, and I don't care, who buys them, and just to keep the toy store kind of idea going, because I think they're the last pretty much national franchise. They have, what is it, FAL Schwartz, but they sell FAL Schwartz stuff in Toys R Us too. So
yeah.
There's a few of those, I think, in the major cities, but not like an exclusive, toy store chain. I remember when KB Toys went out of business, and we had one of those, I think, in the Du Bois Mall, right? KB,
Yes, we did have one
and
in there, and I think even the Logan Valley Mall, and maybe the Nittany Mall.
yeah,
I think they
I
did.
we had a couple around, but uh, that place was always kind of intimidating to me. It was almost like a warehouse. They had like really tall shelves, and it was kind of skinny aisles walking back through there. And then they always had like those the little display out front of the toys that would like move around. They had that like weasel tied to the ball rolling
Yep,
around,
yep.
and they had those penguins that would go slide down the thing and then go up the ladder, and then they'd hit the slide and slide back down. And they would put toys out there like that were in motion and just to draw kids in, like they needed an excuse though. But Toys R Us, yeah, I mean, it's just sad, man, that we're not going to have an exclusive store. I have to go to Walmart or Target or something. And like you say, they have more stuff there that, just Walmart or any of the regular department stores don't have. There's I actually went last weekend and I'm like, okay, if this store closes, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'll be getting this, and I'll do a little Christmas shopping for the kids. There's just so much there that I was like, oh, I gotta have this. They have a Back to the Future dice game, and the dice are like they look like the plutonium, symbols and stuff. I mean, there's just weird stuff like that you just don't find anywhere else. So I don't know. It's going to be a sad day. I might take that day off from work. Like the day that they announce 50% off is the next day or whenever. I'm going to take that day off of work and just go at like the crack of dawn and go shopping.
That's it.
I don't know. It's almost like a funeral.
It feels like it. It really does to me anyway, because like I said, that was my fail safe, and now I'm so close to one. I'm like, oh man, now what? So
yeah, I don't know. It's just another one of those things. Another thing that happened to me that kind of falls in that category is the CD player in my truck broke. So like I either have to listen to the radio, which I'm still an avid radio listener, but my truck is 15 years old now. So I have the radio, or I have to get my little MP3 player with the flash drive plugged in and go through the radio to hear my music. So I'm like, I've lost the tangibility of music. I can't play CDs. I can't play tapes. Can't do anything in the car except for listen to the radio. So I feel kind of it's in a way it's almost like a throwback, to the way it used to be. I just need those like silver buttons to change stations, But but I don't have a way to pop in a cassette and listen to my own music. I got to do it by MP3 now. I'm forced to, which sucks.
It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. So, well, you say that. I thought I had it right here. I haven't sold it yet. I still have my old AM radio from my 1955 Ford. If you really want chrome buttons, I can do
nice.
I don't know if it works or not. I bought off eBay and they said it worked, but I never put it in the car to see if it worked. So, but like you, yeah, I'm in fact, when I DJ, I will choose CDs over MP3s any single day of the week. I will use MP3s. I'm not opposed to them. In fact, I use them I call it autopilot when I listen. I feel funny because it looks like I'm mingling. Absolutely not. I'm working. So I'm walking the aisle trying to see where the dead spots are and if I need to crank it up or adjust or, whatever. But yeah, in fact, I just got hired for a gig and, she's like, do you want to hook up to Spotify? I'm like, give me MP3s, give me a CD. Don't give me any crap online stuff because the networks can fail. And that's when you want the music.
Right. And then they put, plug in commercials here and there too. If you're trying to listen to just one of their stations or something. I'm like, I don't want to listen to, if I'm going to listen to my music. Yeah, that's why I don't like, what is Pandora? I don't like Pandora.
Full of commercials.
it's full of commercials, and you get some of your music, but then you get stuff that you've never heard before, which is good to discover. But I don't know. When I want to listen to my music, I want to listen to my music that I know. So anyway, that was a little bunny trail there. But R.I.P. Toys R Us, and if you want me to come out and buy your store for I wouldn't even say pennies on the dollar. I would say like fractions of pennies on the dollar. Give me a call.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Well, you ready to get into our main topic here?
I am ready to start talking about basically our amusement parks and any of the field trips that we got to go on during our school days. I was going to say high
Right,
school, but
right.
we're opening the bandwidth, so to speak.
Yes, and I thought maybe I would kind of start from early ages here. Maybe we can find something in one of these
History books.
yearbooks. Yeah. One of my Encyclopedia Britannicas, and
I gotta find all mine. I know between me and my sister, I know we have them all. I just don't know where. I have like 3 or 4 of them. So
oh yeah.
I think my mom divvied them up. So
Well, in 1983, which is the earliest one I have, we were in first grade. I got to show the pictures, okay? So
please
we'll see if we can
focus
get
in.
it here. There's
you.
Yep, there is me in the top row there, the striped shirt. First grade. I'll try to zoom in a little bit here. So there's me in first grade, and you came in. When was it? Fourth grade.
4th grade. So move up a few years.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to move up a few years and get you a picture of Wyatt. But our school was small, so our yearbook is
Very small.
pretty small.
About a quarter of it is taken up in ads in the back.
Yeah. But some of the field trips in here that are noted are Forest Zoo. Do you remember Forest Zoo?
No.
Forest Zoo was, oh wow, I vaguely remember it. It was a little trek. I can't remember the exact city where it was at, but it was essentially in the middle of a forest, and they had a little mini zoo there. It wasn't anything huge or anything, but they show Forest Zoo, of course, Parker Dam, which we visited many times, and then the William Penn Museum, which was in, I think it's in Harrisburg. But there's another picture of me right there too, on my way to school.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's those are the ones that are highlighted in this book. But what is one, I guess, on your list? You remember maybe the earliest one you visited?
Oh, I'm trying to think because earlier, if anybody's followed us, I went to Victory Baptist Academy prior to jumping over and meeting Jason. And I'm trying to think where we went. I remember going on the buses, and it was odd because I look back at now and kind of chuckle at it. But at the time, we had the school buses were bought, refurbished, repainted, and they painted them up as Devil Buster #1 and Devil Buster #2. That was our buses. And I remember, I'm trying to think where we went. We didn't go too far. We went to the, was it Wetzel's Pretzels? That's next to TV10.
Yes.
Did you go there?
Yes, that's
then
in
it
one
wasn't
of these.
there. It wasn't there. It was before that. But we went somewhere. Holy crap. But I remember going to Wetzel's Pretzels, and I was intrigued, but I was more interested in walking over to TV10.
Yeah. We never did visit the studios. I don't remember, at least.
No, we didn't. I would know.
I do remember the pretzels, and they had wasn't there a train ride too?
I don't remember the train ride.
Anyway.
There might have been like a tram. I don't remember, though. I gotta look it up
Could have
now.
been. But yeah, I mean, one of the earliest ones I remember is going to Coons Farms. It was an apple farm. Do you remember going out there at all? This might have been before you came over. I have a sticker in my 1984 sticker book that I posted online on Rediscover the 80s from Coons Farms. And I believe it's still there. And you went there, and I wanted to say they showed you how they made apple cider. And,
I'm
just
sorry, I was wrong. It's Benzel's pretzels,
okay.
not Wetzel's. Wetzel's is what you see in the mall. Benzel's was the local
Right.
chain down there.
Here's another early field trip. If you can see, it's me and
You gotta stop moving.
I believe Matt. Very good.
You gotta stop moving, dude.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm trying to find it. There it is. We went to the Pittsburgh Zoo.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you went to the
No.
Pittsburgh Zoo at all. I don't remember that much at all, other than I do remember we're holding in that picture these spears, like Native American spears that I think we bought there. And it had like a rubber tip on the end, like the spears. I had that for years. And that pennant, I think I still have that pennant actually in one of my memory boxes. Remember when pennants were cool? You would get them. They had them at every gift shop. It seemed like it wasn't just for sporting teams and stuff, which that was huge too back in the day. But nobody makes pennants anymore. I wonder what's up with that.
I don't know.
You got another one you want to throw out there?
I'm sorry?
You got another one you want to throw out there?
I'm trying to think when we went Wetzel's Pretzel or Benzel's Pretzels, where we went, there was I've been to Coons Farms, but not as a field trip, as a family.
Mm-hmm. That was an early field trip. It seems like it's in every yearbook here, going to Coons Farms. And this one's 85. We've got a trip to the Seldom Seen Valley Coal Mine.
Yep. I remember that trip. I remember that. Yep. Because we got on these little trams, something like this. Try to do a screen share if I
okay.
Maybe.
So
it needs zoomed up. I'm sorry. See if I can. We went down on this little tram there. If you see it there on your screen. So we did that, and I'm trying to find all these things. They taught you about, how they cut the coal out. It was something like you see on your screen there. I remember them showing us how they had to be careful about the natural gas and so forth. They didn't allow us to pick. There's a picture here of a little kid picking the coal. They didn't allow us to do that, I think, because they were more fearful of us, cave-in. But I remember going there, and I remember, they all have a merchandise store, right? A little whatever.
Gift shop.
And I remember buying. I had it for so long. I don't know whatever happened to it. I had this big matchbook, and I thought it was just so cool because it was a book. I swear it was like a foot long matchbook, and I carried it around like I had it in most of my journeys. I'll call it as in the military. I've carried it around, and somehow it's disappeared.
All right, I got the picture.
Uh-oh. Yeah, there I am.
There we are. There we are.
Yep.
Fourth grade. Uh, this one has a trip to that I don't recall at all, but I'm obviously in the picture. So we went to Racetown Lake.
Yep. I remember going to Racetown. I don't remember much of
Uh,
details, but I remember going.
there's me on the end there with my hand up in the air for some reason. I'm not sure why,
Is that
but
me in the middle there somewhere?
I'm trying to.
I can't see.
I don't see you in the picture, but
I
looks like
remember.
we went out maybe on a boat ride or
I
something
remember going.
on Racetown
Maybe it was
Lake.
another field trip, but I remember going.
This one we also went to the Penn State Mineral Museum, which I do not recall,
That one I don't remember.
and then Parker Dam. Yeah, there's. Oh, I remember that camouflage jacket. This is cool. I'm remembering like all my clothes and stuff that I used to wear. Let's see if I can get it.
Yeah, I remember going out to Parker Dam. It was just after the tornado, right?
Yes, and that's what I remember about it. There was a tornado that went through, and there was a. I remember there was many very large, old, tall trees that were there that we had seen on a previous visit, and some of those were knocked out. That cabin, they had a cabin there. I think there was some people that I don't know if they got killed, maybe. Um,
You gotta
it
make
was
me
a
look.
big deal. It was a big deal, but yeah, we went out there. There was always like a nature trail that we'd
Yep.
go on and then have lunch or something out there. And then yeah, I do remember that being a huge deal around that time that tornado came through, and we always went that route from over to Penfield to go visit my grandparents, and I remember driving through there and seeing the all the destruction. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. So this tornado happened, what, 80? I'm trying to look up the date.
I can't
Um,
remember the exact
it's
year.
like I'll call it the late 80s. So tornadoes come and go in Clearfield County, but they're very, very few and far between. So it's not like living out in Tornado Alley, Midwest. When you hear the sirens, we actually believe it and typically go duck and cover. Well, I remember specifically my mom was trying to keep us calm.
Hmm.
So we're playing card games and board games and we're doing that to pass the time. We're hearing all this just stuff outside hitting uh, wind and all of that. My mom didn't turn on the radio, and now I turn on the radio every time I hear a storm's coming.
You're right.
Um, but it was just like a crazy, crazy storm. And then we found out that there was this big, huge tornado that basically took a path and just plowed right through a big portion of um, Parker Dam. And to us, that was it kind of just like any place else, the monuments or somewhere in your
Mm.
hometown, something happened. So here's the because I'm here, I'm gonna pop it over and I found their little placard. Um,
Oh, cool.
as I zoom up. So May 31st, 1985, one of 20 tornadoes reported in Pennsylvania. Uh, the storm track was Penfield to area just north of Lock Haven, which was 60 miles. So this tornado traveled 60 miles.
Mm.
The lifespan in the park was 2 minutes. The entire length was 90 minutes. So it took 90 minutes to finally, basically just kept on going. The width of the storm varied from 300 yards to 1.5 miles. Its top internal wind speed was clocked at 250. Acres blown down in the park was 500 acres, and they have 968, I think is what they said, is what they own. So
Mm.
that took over the half park, and then acres blown down along the entire storm track was 26,000 miles, or I'm sorry,
Imagine.
26,000 acres. So this was a big, big, massive storm, and it, like I said, it just kind of ripped your heart out. I guess for us, we made a monument out of it, obviously. Um,
Yeah, just visiting there, on field trips from
yeah,
very young ages, and then coming back to see the devastation. It's impactful
right. And I don't
for even for
remember,
young kids.
right, but I remember going out there. It might have been the same trip, but I remember going up there, and they took us on a little nature walk. I think it was the logging path that they do. It's kind of common if you're around the area, you've probably gone on it a couple thousand times. But you see where they logged originally Parker Dam. Its history was that it was one of the man-made dams to where the logging came in, and they literally like stockpiled it, for lack of a better term, in that dam itself in the holding water, and then they would shove it up over the dam. It go down to the river and then make its next trek
Hmm.
downstream. And that was why it was, or a reason why it was built in that era. Now it's just recreation, and it's our own little beach in the middle of Clearfield County.
Yeah, yeah, it is a little piece of water there. You can go.
Oh,
There
me
we
and the
are again.
glasses.
Yep. This is
I'm trying to. I'm trying.
1987, uh, fifth grade there. Yep. This was right before I got glasses. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm trying not to, but I'm getting that to that stage.
There's another one right there for you.
What was I doing?
Now
Sticking out my
that's
tongue?
art.
Yeah.
I love these yearbooks are filled with what's I don't know who wrote the captions, but uh, there's some pretty good ones in here that
Yeah. Well,
we'll just have to save for another time.
we had a photo. I'll call it a photo club, yearbook club, and that's who did the photos and did the captions
Hmm.
and all that.
This year, let's see if I can find the special events. We did there was I do remember this now. We went down to see the Shaw Public Library Puppeteers. You remember going there?
I don't remember seeing the puppeteers. I remember we went to the Shaw Public Library a few times actually, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember going down there and they putting on a puppet show for us. Uh, the older kids went to the Penelec Power Plant. I don't remember ever going on a field trip there.
No.
Now a couple down at the bottom here. This looks like the older kids, and we can get to those later. But this one does have our picture in there, and that's Indian Caverns.
Yep. I got it right here.
There you go. I think I had a pennant from that one too. Um, there was several caverns that we visited. Uh, Indian Caverns. When we went there, there was Lincoln Caverns. There's Penn's Cave. One that we did on a when we were older, like maybe high school, late high school years, was we went to Bear Cave. Remember that?
Oh,
Did you
yes.
go on that one?
I
Okay.
did go on that one. So I don't know why I'm sharing you. I wasn't
Yeah,
meant to share
I see
you.
me again. There you
Sorry.
go.
So there's photos primarily of Indian caverns. Just Google it; you'll see all types of stuff. When you roll up to the place, I think it's still there. I saw a photo of it somewhere. When you roll up, they actually have an Indian teepee out front, and that's what kind of told you that it was your Indian caverns.
Hmm.
I don't remember too much like looking inside. I mean, it's stalactites and stalagmites. That's about all. All of them seem to be about the same anymore. But you saw all these. They have some cool lighting, like you see here. We have the red lighting to kind of
Yeah,
illustrate.
yeah.
Um,
I always
then we
loved
went.
the caverns.
I'm sorry.
I always loved the caverns.
Same here.
It wasn't exactly like we were living down here in the South where it gets 100 degrees in the summer, but it was always fun going down there. It was so much cooler, and uh, I don't know. I always just enjoyed going to the different
Same
caverns.
same here. This is one of their areas too. It has a little table kind of rock there. But we also visited Lincoln Caverns,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, I think it
Lincoln
was,
down in Huntington, I think.
yeah, it was. It was bigger. I do remember that it was much bigger. There was more room, space inside, and you got
Right.
to see a lot of the cool stalactites, stalagmites. I remember. I think this is the cavern. Maybe it's Indian, but there was one. There was one that they said that they were working on. They were excavating or looking or exploring rather. When you walked in only a few feet from the entrance, I still remember the conversation that they were like looking into the next cavern.
Oh,
And
cool.
then fast forward here about 5 or 6 years ago, something, maybe you and I had a chat, I don't remember, but something keyed in to like look at this place. And now there's a stairwell down to that place where they were
Cool.
exploring. So it was kind of like, man, I need to go back and go to the caves
Check it
again.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fun.
so fast forward to your bear cave. I remember
Yeah.
that was Mr. Moore that led
Mm-hmm.
us on that trip, and I was the idiot that forgot his flashlight. So
Oh,
when we
really?
when we stopped, there was a couple of us. I was one of them though. We stopped at like a little general store just before we got there. And I bought myself this cheap Rayovac. I think it was red and white with a white lens plastic, and I bought like four double D or D batteries. I didn't buy any more. I'm thinking, well, it shouldn't be that much, but I think I only bought four, a 4 pack. And here we are, climbing up and down. And if you were at all claustrophobic, that one would have ruined you.
Yeah, and that one, you go to these caverns if in kind of the Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, there's a lot of caverns you can go to, and there's guided tours. There's a person that will kind of take you down in there, show you around. They have the light show, and you come out. Well, Bear Cave was kind of a explore at your own risk cave. So we had I remember Mr. Moore, who was our gym teacher, and also I can't remember what the other subjects were, but he had like a map, and you essentially just climbed in through the entrance and followed the map down through the cave as far as you wanted to go, and turn around and come back out. And I specifically remember he got us down in the middle of the cave where there was a large area where we were kind of resting. And he said, all right, everybody turn out your flashlight, and it's total
Yep.
pitch black. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, wow, you can hide in your closet, you can hide under your bed, or, even at nighttime, there's still light that comes in. But this was like total pitch black, and it was kind of scary almost too.
Right. And I
There
think
you go.
this is the entrance to it. That's all you had. You had no idea what was in there
Yeah.
and what was there. It was, and I remember you guys having to turn out the lights, and then there was a step where um, he went to the keyhole.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. We went down. That was the last thing, like the farthest in we went, because there was a small little crawl space that essentially looked like a keyhole. You had like a just a small, protrusion up to put your legs on and to kind of climb through this keyhole looking tunnel. We went down, we looked at the keyhole, and then we went on our way back to the entrance. And he actually got not lost, but he got turned around at one point. And I was the one actually that told him, "Oh, hey, you got to go up there," because there was like a drop off, and he had to get somebody down, and then you had to essentially get somebody on the lower level to help the next person down, and we kind of helped each other down. And he got back to that point. He's like, "Where do I go from here?" I was like, "You go up." He's like, "Who said that?" I was like, "Me." It's like, good job, and I don't know how I remember that specifically, but that was fun. That was kind of dirty, hands on your knees, crawling under this and that, and not knowing if there's any actual bear that are in there,
Right.
Uh,
I think this is your pathway, that keyhole right here that's I'm showing on the sharing.
okay.
I think. I mean, there's a lot of light. Obviously, you probably wouldn't know it.
Yeah, I don't necessarily recognize that, but that was a
But
fun.
we
That was
were.
a really fun field trip.
It was, but it felt like it was forever that we were down in there. Probably only a
Yeah.
couple hours, but it felt
All
like
right.
5.
I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. There's sixth
Yeah,
grade.
good idea that we speeded up, and bad hair day.
uh, let's see. Let's see what we can find in here. As far as there's the athletics activities. There's Forest Zoo again. There's the roller skating rink.
Yeah, we went there. I remember that.
That was a place we frequented. There's Bernie and some in with some animals, some stuffed. I don't know. I don't remember where that's from. Your cousin there.
The taxidermy. Yeah, we took a tour of the taxidermy downtown.
Oh, okay, okay. So we went to the taxidermy then. That's all for. There's Parker Dam again. That's all for that book. I'm going to move on to the next one. See if we can find some more stuff in here.
Go
ahead.
Public service announcement. Only because I'm a fan. William Daniels, who is the voice of Kit, is going to be showing up at the Bookends Bookstore, Ridgewood, New Jersey, if you're anywhere close to that, April 29th.
Okay.
I want to go see him. I just hope he travels a little bit further south. That's all. I'm already jealous of you. You're close to. John Schneider's having a Bose extravaganza down at his studios, and he's personally going to jump a General Lee.
Oh, really?
And I'm so jealous because you're so close. You're like only 2 or 3 states away, and I'm like, dude, I really want to go.
Yeah. Here's the Bear Cave trip. That was 1990, so that would have been what, freshman?
Yeah.
I got the Bear Cave trip there. Anything else in here?
Is there pictures there?
Just awards. Yeah, there's one of everybody in front of the
cave.
The sign. You can
oh yeah.
That. There's several pictures there of it says cave trips, so but it doesn't say which caves. But I know one of those was definitely Bear Cave. Oh my gosh, Mr. Ray. Let's turn that.
What are you trying to say?
Any other trips that come to mind?
I know that we hit up Kennywood at one point. I think these were the end of the school year trips.
That was an end of the year trip. That was either junior or senior year. Kennywood in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite parks of all time. Tons of roller coasters.
Yes.
I think we actually went at least twice to Kennywood.
Did you? I only remember going once.
Maybe I remember going out there multiple times.
Well, we might have went once because the family plan was to go to this family vacation was probably to go to Hershey at one point.
I remember going to Hershey with you in the back of your dad's truck one time.
Yep.
Hershey was another one. That was a big one.
Which is funny because
went to twice.
Well, funny with Hershey because my dad went to high school there.
Mm-hmm.
So he would go down there, not every year, but often he would go down to do the class reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And he usually tied it in with our family vacation. But there would be times where, like one year, I think it was 2 years in a row or something, we went down for the end of year school trip. Then we went again for our family vacation. And then there was another trip out there again for like I think for the class reunion. I'm like, how many much more time am I going to see at Hershey? It just felt like it got boring at one point for me, but then now now I miss it.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing in a way because, how long was that Hershey Chocolate World Tour? It was the same old tour day in and day out. You could go
Right.
any day, any year. It was the same tour. And then, was it 1997, 98? That era, they changed it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they changed it again like 5 years later. Then another 5 or 6 years later, they changed it again. So it was weird. It was like they just froze it for so long, and they thought, well, I guess we better freshen it up now.
Yeah. I remember going in it where it was changed like after we had went there on a field trip and there was missing a roller coaster and even the park itself changed,
Yeah,
not just the tour. But
right.
gosh, I don't remember the last time I was at Hershey. Not too much in that one there.
I
We
can
got an
tell you
awful
when I
lot
was
of
at Hershey.
advertising.
I have to look it up, but I have a picture of me.
There's that might be Bilger's Rocks. You remember going to Bilger's Rocks on a field trip?
Yes, I do.
Bilger's Rocks was it's out in the middle of nowhere, really. And it's these huge like rock formations. You're not going necessarily down in caves and stuff, but they have like areas where you kind of go in between the rocks and almost down into small little caves to walk through it. And Dad took me and the boys last year when we were up to go to Bilger's Rocks.
So here's
And
an image on when it flips back to me for screen share. Here's one of the images. I mean, you could hop this, but that's a ravine.
oh yeah,
If you make a mistake, you'll feel it. And
yes, you will.
here's a good example. You see someone looking down from one of the tops of those
Yeah.
rocks.
So it was fun. It's almost like being in one of the Lord of the Rings movies almost. You could film out there, and it's I don't know. It's like medieval or something. Just the way it looks and set
It
up.
is. I mean, there's this weird rock formation that has been there for ages. It seems years,
Uh-huh.
and it's so cool that they've had problems with graffiti over the years. But I mean, here's one
Yeah.
of the entrances right now to the place right there. So
Shoot, they had a graffiti problem when we were there.
true. I
they
think it got
had
escalated. The other thing that was cool about it, a lot of people. Here's the picture I was looking for. Someone climbing. They'll climb up a rock face, do some rock climbing there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. This one also has Penn's Cave in there. Penn's Cave is pretty cool because you go in on a boat to go inside those caverns. And then the Pennsylvania Military Museum. I don't remember that at all. Or even where it's at.
Pennsylvania Military Museum?
Yeah, there's a picture in there. That was 92. I've got two more. Let's kind of zip through these.
Yeah, I don't remember going to this.
Where is it?
Boalsburg or near Boalsburg?
Boalsburg.
Center County.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember going there. I'm sure there's pictures to prove it.
Yep. That was we ran track. Words night, graduation. I don't remember. I don't want to remember the junior senior banquet. Oh, there's so many stories in these books.
So here's a screenshot of me. I just came across this here recently. This was the last time I was at Hershey, was with my dad. I came back when I was in Scott. So it would have been around 2000, 1999, 2000 time
Hmm.
frame. That's the last
Cool.
time I was at Hershey.
I don't see any field trip pictures in this in this in this yearbook. Special events, trip to Parker Dam, track winners, dress up day. There's your cousin and his brother. Uh,
So for our high school days,
sports.
just or our
Hmm.
school days, just for fun, Jason was probably actually
Okay.
right. I thought we had about 8 people that graduated. This is our graduation here in the
Oh
church,
wow.
and you can see Jim, the twins. Uh, can't quite make out who this. This I think is Larry.
Tim,
Is that Tim?
Larry, Tim or Larry.
And
That's
then Larry.
six. You had the
Then there's
girls.
Denise. There's Tom. There's myself. There's Crystal.
I think there's
Someone.
10 of us.
Yeah, and there's someone behind her. I can't remember who this is. Actually, nope. Standing picture doesn't show anymore either. But there's Mr. States over there.
Uh
So as the
huh.
speaker.
The last trip I remember taking, I believe it was like a field trip, was to Cedar Point in Ohio. Did you go on that trip?
No, I was probably too busy
Okay,
working.
that might have been one that you were working didn't make, but that was that Cedar Point. If you've ever been there, it's just pretty much overwhelming because there's a roller coaster. They have like the most roller coasters of any park in the world, I
Pretty
think,
much, yes.
and they've broken records for tallest, fastest, all that stuff, and they have all different types. The ones with the track overhead, the ones where you're kind of standing up, and uh, it was a long trek too. I mean, it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours at least to go out
Yeah.
to. It was in Ohio, and we were, in the middle of Pennsylvania, the state. So that was one of the last ones I remember taking, and then of course, did you go on the senior trip?
I did go on the senior trip,
Yes.
and I
Now this was a
remember one of
fun
the.
trip.
You remember the gags that Tom did to me?
Okay, yes, of course you were there because yes, I do remember.
So,
Now, okay, I'm gonna set it up here because
okay, you set it up.
my pal Wyatt is a very special person in that he had a distinct flavor that he loved to put on his food in the cafeteria.
It has not ended yet to this
It
day.
has not
I
ended
still do
yet,
it.
and that would be the wonderful seasoning lemon pepper. If you've ever got that to season your food with, and you brought a whole thing, right? It was like one of those huge
It was a
thing, and it
Tupperware container about yay big. I
Tupperware.
don't know if that really relates. About the size of a can of pop. And I brought that with me because I know it was only 3 days, but I didn't know what would happen. That's me over electronics. Yep.
Votech.
Votech. Um, but yeah, I'd put it on everything, just about everything. Pizza and burgers, you name it, I probably put it on except for dessert.
Pizza was what did it, right?
That's what did it. And I
Okay.
knew you guys were setting me up. I had an inkling and I thought about taking it with me, but I'm like, well, how am I going to get my next pizza or whatever? Came back and Tom, I think it was Tom because he was the one giggling his butt off the whole time.
It might have been Tim. I can't remember exactly who it was. There you go. There
Yep.
was us in the cafeteria on the senior trip.
But they unscrewed the cap just enough that when I dumped it, I got an overload of lemon pepper.
There you go. There's when we went to see that crazy play. You remember that?
No.
That dude in the middle with the suit was in the cast. It was one of those turn or burn type plays where they have like people representing angels and demons, and uh, have like scary music, and they try to scare you to Jesus. You know,
I don't
you don't
remember
remember
that
that
one.
at all?
No, I should, but I don't.
Oh man, yeah. That was like late at night, and I went back to our rooms. I'm like freaking out, even as a
So
senior. Go
here's
ahead.
here's the so here's the corny thing, right? So I don't know why I did this. It was hilarious. Once I hung up the phone, I know what I did and how stupid it was. So I was working at the radio station at the time. Jason was not, and we knew what. When I called the radio station, I didn't call the radio station. I called 1-800-247-HITS, which was
I
the
can't
satellite
remember
service.
that number.
I still remember that to this day, what the number is, because we always had to say it. Um, so I'm sitting there going, "Hey, I'd like to make a request." And they're like, "Sure, what's the number?" And I said like Phil Collins or something. I think it was Phil Collins. And then I hung up the phone and I realized not one of us is going to hear this song because we don't have QIX or a relative radio station nearby. Like, well, that was pointless, but okay.
Why not? Yeah. That was a fun trip. We went to well, yeah, I do remember the lemon pepper incident where they loosened the cap and you dumped like half the bottle on your pizza.
I
Uh,
like lemon pepper, but that was way too strong right there.
yeah. It was at is it Word of Life Bible College in New York? I want to say it's Nyack, but that might not be right. It's upstate New York, kind of close to the Canada border and all that. Because we went to Montreal one day and just kind of roamed around downtown. We got our money converted to Canadian dollars. That's the only time I've ever been to Canada. We visited the old Olympic Stadium that they had there, where the Expos played and where they had the Olympics. And we visited a bunch of like cathedrals and stuff downtown. I remember taking something from a church. I think we were supposed to pay for it, and it was like a little brochure or something. And I think we accidentally stole it.
I remember that one. Yeah, I do remember
And
that.
we visited like little gift shops and stuff. I'm trying to remember what else we did when we were in Montreal, but it was like at this college, and we stayed in the dorms, and it was, off. It might have been like after classes had let out or something, because we had this whole floor to ourselves, and uh, somebody had a tennis ball. I remember this, and we played this game. It was late at night, and we were, when you got a whole dorm to yourself, what are you going to do? But we played this game where we would throw the tennis ball and try not to hit the sides of the walls the whole way down to the hall and hit the other opposite end. For some reason, I remember doing that late at night. And we went with who was Miss Hutton at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was the only chaperone. We went up, and there was, the 10 of us. I think all of us went. Maybe it wasn't all of us, but that was fun. We just hung out for a couple days up there, and I remember the trip. The main soundtrack I was listening to was Extreme's album, Three Sides to Every Story. We had the Chicago Greatest Hits, I think 82 to 92. I listened to that a lot. That was kind of the soundtrack to the drive up there and just kind of hanging out. I'm trying to think what else we did on that trip, but I can't remember. You remember anything else about it?
Oh, I remember going, like you said, I remember going over to Toronto, and I remember a few of the guys
Montreal.
wanted to go to the more risque part of town. to see what they could conjure up.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was Tom. Tom was one of those that took the lead on that, and
Tom.
like one or two followed him, and they were just trying to find the well, we'll call it the corner establishments. We'll leave it at that. But we just wandered around, like you said. We got to the church there.
Maybe it's because we thought the drinking age was younger or something. I don't know.
No, it wasn't that reason that he wanted to go. It was another establishment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
So.
Oh my gosh, there's our last will and testament. We'll have to read those later.
Yeah.
We'll have to read those later.
It was just fun to go up there. I remember the radio crapped out on the van. And I was trying to like rig up another fuse to it. Yep. There's the graduation picture.
We got color this time.
Huh?
We have some color.
Yeah.
Not just black and white. There we go. There's me.
Yeah, I had my Mo haircut with the wannabe Hulk Hogan mustache.
Hulk Hogan.
That's what I liked. I liked his mustache. Everybody said, you want what was it?
He always had the goatee, right?
He never had a goatee. He never had the chin beard.
The handlebar. Yeah, okay.
Everybody said, you want the Fu Manchu. I said, I don't know who that is. I want the Hulk Hogan. Yeah, he probably copied it, but I want Hulk's deal. It never worked out, but yeah. I was trying to find the college. The closest college that's there is Elam. I don't know if that rings a bell.
I think it's called Word of Life.
Okay, well, Word of Life is like a minute, and I mean a terribly long way away.
Okay.
I mean, it could be. Wait, New York Christian. Where's this?
It doesn't have anything in here.
Doesn't say
where the heck we stayed. Oh, these wonderful yearbook people.
Well, if it's the Word of Life, we would have had to, I don't remember the drive being all that long. But if it was, that was a serious length.
Yeah, I don't remember how long it was to drive to go to Montreal.
just for your reference. This is it. This is Word of Life way over yonder, right? I don't know if you can really make this out. You got Lake Ontario all the way over here and Toronto up here. So
yeah, it was Montreal, dude. It wasn't Toronto.
Montreal. Okay, then that might be feasible because right here's Montreal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was Montreal. Because that's where the Expos play, Montreal Expos.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know why I had Toronto in my head. But yeah, that's, I mean, still.
Fine.
I still remember trying to change the fuse out, trying to find a fuse that we didn't need on the van so we could have radio. And old Miss Hutton, she loved to yell at me. So she's like, don't touch it. I don't want anything to happen. I'm like, it's just a fuse. I know what I'm doing. I don't want that thing to break down on me. I'm like, well, it won't break down. I'm trying to find the spare fuse for the radio. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'll listen to my Walkman. I don't really care.
She definitely wasn't one of your favorites, but she was one of my favorites.
Well, she just always liked to yell at me for some reason. I don't know if I had a sign, yell at me. I don't know what the heck. But, there was a couple of times I probably pushed the button, You
were known to do that with many teachers.
A few, not all.
Well, you got any other field trips that you had in your notes you wanted to talk about?
Aside from Hershey Park, which we've talked about, I can't think of any field trips that we've made. I'm sure we've got a few, but that's the only ones I can think of.
I think we had quite a few there. Unless we include senior skip day.
Well, that's technically our field trip.
It's not really a field trip, but
we made it.
Yeah, our big skip day was going to the Nittany Mall and in State College, and the sole purpose why I wanted to go there, and what I bought there, and what I still have and actually just used last night is a lava lamp. My green slime lava lamp. It's still working. It's in the boys' room. Gigi, my little girl, actually discovered it last. What is this, Daddy? And I had to turn it on. And we had to wait for it to warm up, and wait for it to warm up, and wait for it to warm up, and finally, that it started bubbling, and she was fascinated with it. But I bought that at a Spencer's in the Nittany Mall. It would have been 1994, so that thing is older than dirt. 24 years old. Holy
Yeah.
crap!
Yep.
It still works though. I had it in college, and I don't know how it survived all these years, but yeah, I remember that was the main thing I remember that day. We went to the Nittany Mall, and I bought that lava lamp. I think it was on sale. I think that's why.
Probably why you bought it. I didn't. I don't remember buying. I don't remember buying anything up there. I think we just tooled around. If I bought something, it might have been a cassette of some sort.
Good. Yeah, I mean, man, I miss the record stores. Yeah, that's all we did. We just hung out and probably got a bite to eat and drove back. It wasn't any big thing, but we all just decided this is our moment. We're skipping school. We're, sticking it to the man. We drove to the mall an hour away. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, I'm all tapped out from my memories, at least. There's a couple others I saw in there. Gettysburg. I remember going there one time.
Oh yeah,
And,
I went. Where'd it go?
At least once.
I can't find it now. I still bought a souvenir from Gettysburg. It was one of their supposedly one of the lead balls.
The bullets?
Yeah.
Yes.
I still have it.
Oh wow. I remember buying those, a couple of those in the little baggies. They had the
yeah, I still have it in the baggie too.
Nice. The one thing I also remember buying was this little it was kind of like a Viewmaster, but it was a small little television set. It looked like a television in the front, and you turn it around the back, and there's a little peephole, and you look through the back of the TV, through the TV screen, and it had a little button on top, and you could see different scenes from Gettysburg. So I remember buying that little souvenir, and I have a pack of Gettysburg playing cards somewhere too. I think that's in my memory box. Oh my gosh, you still do have it. Nice. Very cool.
Really see it. It says gift from National Tower, Gettysburg. This is a genuine, authentic Civil War bullet signed by Fred Stevens.
Who's Fred Stevens?
He's a cousin to Ray Stevens. But anyway.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah. So yeah, I told you I still had it. I don't think I've ever taken it out of that bag. Maybe when I bought it just to go, oh, that's really cool, and then put it back in.
Interesting. I might still have mine. I'll have to go through. That's another thing we need to do is pull out stuff that we like, go through our memory boxes, because I have some stuff in there that I'm like, wow, why did I keep this, and how do I still have it? I have like our hall pass from senior year.
Yep.
I have just like little souvenirs and trinkets like that. I have old movie ticket stubs.
Yep.
I used to save those for some reason. So that would be fun to do. But speaking of that, as we trying to wrap this up and get on to the next topic, I believe it's your turn, sir. So do you have something in mind you want to try to tackle the next time? We talked about maybe revisiting jobs, or I know you've been doing some screen share stuff.
Yeah, so I am working on a screen share just to tease the listeners, or the watchers rather. And the listener, you just have to suck it up and
use your imagination.
This may or may not show up. Let me move it over here. Undo, come on. Okay, that's just not working right now. So I've been trying to work on a Um, there it is. It worked, I think. Move it over. Use what's called screen share. This is the
Oh, there you
studio.
go.
This is the studio that Jason and I worked in. I've recreated it to the best of my ability. I would love to talk about this more in depth, but I want to work on this because I don't have my ringer lights right here. If you remember, they used to sit here.
You got the clock hours up there.
There's an actual clock.
That
We
well,
gotta,
the schedule is what I'm talking about. The
yes, those are up there too. You're gonna make me do it. I don't want to get into
oh my
lengthy,
gosh.
but
Okay, this is teasing. We're teasing
yeah,
for
we
a
got to
future
tease because
episode.
I'm gonna be here all night doing this. I love this.
So you want to kind of revisit the radio station, or
I want to still tweak this, but what you do have for me, or that interested me,
uh-huh.
I'm gonna find Google Hang. There it is. Um, I think we should do the mixed tapes that we had
That's right. We did talk about that.
because I've been resurfacing. I just need to write down what I've recorded. A lot of them I've learned are duplicates. So they'll have a lot of my favorite songs, but I'll just add another like 3 or 4 into the mix, and it's still the same. I've been listening to the Humpty Dance probably ever since QIX. Just saying, that's always
Oh,
been in my MP3 list. It seems. I'm like, you know what? I've been listening to this for 23 years. Maybe it's time for a change.
timeless. No, man, it's timeless.
It is because most of this, like I said in the last episode, I put the QIX liners in it. So I have, every it auto rotates. So sometimes I get three liners of QIX. The next time it might not be 20 songs till I hear something again.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about this the other day because I mean I like this topic of just kind of going back and seeing what we were listening to and what we were mixing together would be fun. But you think about all the different types of media or what do I want to say? Entertainment. You got music and TV and movies. Uh, of all of everything, you go back and what's more timeless, I think, than the other things is music, because you always got, if you're listening to bands, it's basically the same kind of thing. You maybe mix in a little bit of synthesizer, back in the day more than you do now, but there's a lot of bands that are almost timeless. You think about AC/DC, that I think one of them said in some point in an interview that we released 16 albums that were basically the same.
yeah.
So, so music is more timeless to me than trying to watch an old TV show, or you get caught up in the technology of the time, or you get caught up in the fashion and the way people dressed, and that can, oh gosh, why am I watching this? That can kind of take you out of that. But music is more, I think, timeless than that. So I'm interested in doing that. I have a lot of my mixtapes, I think mainly from our days at the radio station. So it'd be like early mid 90s, where most of my mixtapes originated from. I have a tape somewhere that I dubbed the 2 Jeff Foxworthy albums you had on both sides,
which I still have. I've yet to get rid of my cassettes library either.
I still have mine too, so that might be fun just to kind of go through and see what our tendencies were at the time. So I'm on board with that if you are.
Yeah.
For the next episode.
I
cool.
just got to do my homework now and jot them all down. I didn't label anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just bring the box or boxes and just have them nearby, and we can rumble through them as we talk. And
I could hook it
we
up.
Can reminisce. We could reminisce a little. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I could hook it all up to my mixer. I took a slight hiatus from my mixer tonight. I could do that, but we'd be here a while.
Yeah.
I tried to buy the BASF, so I got extra couple minutes out of it versus the normal 90.
Right. You got the longer play ones, and
I'm trying to repair a cassette right now. One of my favorite cassettes uh, it's a black Radio Shack tape, and it came off the little I'll call it the little roller clip.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually detached from the spool. I'm trying like crazy to try to salvage this. The main reason, I think there's another reason on there too, and I'm not 100%, is that do you remember the Comedy Club All Stars video that I used to have?
Of course, yes.
I recorded it, I think, on that cassette. It's not jacked up like it was on the video I just
Oh
tried to
my.
redo. So
I found one of me and my neighborhood friends a recording on the backside of it was actually on one of those read along stories.
oh yeah.
Uh, it was a GI Joe book, and they had the read along on one side, and you could record on the other side, and we recorded on there. I listened to it in my Walkman because I do have a stereo with a cassette player, but I don't have the headphone jack to fit, the larger headphone jack to fit in there. So I had to listen to it on the Walkman, and I was like, wow, this is a flashback. I might end up putting that into a podcast myself and just getting the audio, recovered if I can do that somehow, get it converted to digital. You gave me some pointers, but
Well, so
I would
I've been
love to
looking at
find
stuff.
some other tapes like that.
So I've been looking. I mean, you can rig all day long, right? I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Amazon, look up a cassette to MP3 or cassette to USB. There's literally a cassette player. It looks like a Walkman. No kidding. And it's literally a little. It looks like there's a little USB stick. Pop it on. There you go. It converts it. You download it to MP3.
Nice.
So
I might end
I've
up
been
doing that
tempted.
then.
I've been tempted, even with how I can wire crap up.
I was trying to think if there was any time where we would have recorded ourselves, like audio, and if there's a tape out there that might exist. I don't remember. I remember being over at your house. I remember listening to the radio and things like that, but I don't know if we ever like just sat down and recorded ourselves for some reason. But
I think I have all my cassettes, and I have yet to hear any of our voices. The one tape I thought I had my voice on, I must have went into a frenzy and recorded over it because it's all just music now. Because it was one. If you look at the tape label, it says Mask, Jason the World Warriors, and a couple other songs. And my mom was trying to do a birthday present or a Christmas present to my dad for him being on the trucker, and we
Mhm.
we were kids and we were singing along to our favorite TV shows.
No,
So I sang
I'd
along to
love to
Mask,
hear that.
but I dubbed over it. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's long lost. I must have been in that little frenzy, like I gotta record. I gotta record. Uh, Sorry, Dad. That's what I did.
All right. Well, we'll dig out our mixtapes. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about how we dubbed our music at the radio station or even at home. What kind of setup we had that might be appropriate at the time, and we just kind of take it from there and wing it and see what we were listening to and what we were mixing. Some, I guess, some for each other, not really, mainly for ourselves though.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever giving a mixtape to somebody, like a girl, and I think you made some yourself for some other people, but you've said in the past, but I don't remember ever doing that. But for me, I was selfish, I guess. So anyway, all right. So mixtapes will be our next topic, and everybody stick around for some other fun shows coming to the feed other than Memory Jogger. But we do appreciate all of our Memory Jogger listeners out there. We get some really nice feedback and people, oh yeah, I remember what you're talking about, even though maybe they're not from, exactly where we were, but more of the era, so we appreciate the comments, and you can always tweet us over at RD80s, or just find Rediscover the 80s on Facebook and wherever else you want to try to find us. We should be there. You can also watch obviously this recording on YouTube, and there's comments there too that some people were commenting about your setup there, Wyatt, calling it a bed sheet fort that you.
Just so in fairness, I'm trying to hide what this little room is. If you look at our early jobs, you'll see what it looks like. I'm sitting in a 2x2 closet, and back behind is my fuse box and lots of boxes of crap. And so I'm trying to at least look semi-professional. The downside is I'm using what I have. So I'm not using a bed sheet, rather a shower curtain. I'm trying to do a green screen, but if I can only get it to work right, then I'll have a green screen behind me. But
I need one of those too, because like you say, I got these lovely bullet holes behind me. Actually, wall. There was a key rack there, I think, and maybe a couple of pictures. But I'm trying to convince the wife to let me go at it with some paint and put up some shelves of like collectibles and stuff. So at least something is relevant when we're when we're recording.
I have
from the laundry room here.
But I don't know how I'd rig it up, but I do have back in the day. You had, maybe this would be another podcast, bedroom posters, right? I had the big, huge, like 6-foot long Dodge Viper. I still have it, and I was gonna put it up here, but I didn't know how I'd rig it up on the ductwork up above me.
Yeah, so, most of mine were sports related, except for that one Garfield one that greeted you at the door.
I loved him.
Well, duh. We still talk about that one, but anyway, all right. Well, let's get off here, and again, we appreciate everybody for listening. This is Jason. There's Wyatt over there.
Yeah, so thanks for hanging with us as we ventured down our memories of school trips and amusement parks. Like Jason said, give us a like or follow on one of or all of our many social media outlets. And now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And why do they keep sending them to me? Believe it or not, we like to connect the dots as we shout, "To plane, boss, to plane!" But don't just engage. Rather turbo boost and shout, where did it go? And shout while we were in hot pursuit. Ha! I kill me. But where's the beef? Nonetheless, I love it when a plan comes together. As you say, good grief, we continue to invite you to journey down your memories here on Memory Jogger.
Oh, those get better each and every time.
Try to do all the fun cliches.